CTV Calgary, local breaking news.
Good afternoon. Calgary is under a rainfall warning. We'll have more on the forecast in a moment, but first, a look at some of the flooding happening around the city today. Flooding on Stony Trail Tuesday morning closed southbound Sutina Trail from Glenmore to 90th Avenue Southwest. Drivers had to find alternate routes, but police say the water has receded enough to reopen that section of road back to motorists around the noon hour. A section of Glenmore Trail where crews are doing paving work was reduced to a single lane after several vehicles were damaged from driving over a water-filled pothole. The city says heavy rain affected the area. Drivers are urged to look out for large puddles, especially around bridge decks and underpasses. And Jody Hughes joins us now with a look on the weather. And Jody, clearly the rain is taking a toll.
Well, you're right. And one of the challenges that we have had is the amount of rain recently. This isn't the only rain event. As you know, over the weekend, we had between 40 to 60 millimeters of rain across the Calgary area. And this is coming on the heels of what has been a very wet end to June and beginning of July. Normally, for the month of July, we have around 66 millimeters of rain. But so far, as of up to Sunday, we'd had about 102 millimeters of rain. So in other words, our ground is very saturated. And when we look at this system, which started in last night, initially we had the one coming in from the north, the one from the south. They were all pushed up against the foothills, and then they merged, spread out across the Calgary area, north, south, east, and west. And now we just have that persistent and slow-moving system, which is why we had that rainfall warning that was issued for the Calgary area and areas to the west and the south, and also a little bit to the north. As we look into the afternoon, we will start to see this clear out, making way for some warmer temperatures as we head into the rest of the week. Today's high of 11 degrees will become 22, which is pretty close to seasonal, and then up to 27 degrees with some sunshine for Thursday.
Thank you, Jody. And all this rain comes on the heels of an event being put on by the Northern Hail Project at Telespark Science Centre. Researchers and field workers with Western University offer students an opportunity to learn about severe weather, atmospheric science, and conduct field research.
Educate them about hail, answer any questions they may have, and hopefully get some new hail reporters out there for us.
Equipment and 3D printed models of recovered hailstones are on display. The event is free for the public and goes till 3 p.m. today. Breaking news from the world of entertainment. Ozzy Osbourne has died. The Black Sabbath frontman died less than 3 weeks after reuniting with his band for a farewell performance. In a statement, his family says they were with him when he passed and he was surrounded by love. Osbourne had a number of health problems in recent years, including Parkinson's disease. He was 76 years old. Well, 2 days after the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Madison Cobb, a man has been arrested. Police took him into custody at a Super 8 motel on McLeod Trail in the southwest. The suspect's vehicle was also found, thanks to a tip from the public. Flowers and stuffed animals have been left near the parkade where the woman was shot and killed Saturday. Cobb had obtained a restraining order against a man last month. LASIK MD, where Cobb worked, releasing a statement saying they are deeply saddened to learn of the tragic death and are offering support to staff. Cochrane RCMP continued to ask for help finding a missing mother and daughter. 30-year-old Ashley Bartley and 4-year-old Marley Myers were last seen in Cochrane on July 12th. Investigators believe they could be in the Vancouver area and are concerned for their well-being. The pair may be traveling either in a white Chevy Spark with Alberta plate CWH 6911 or a brown Chevy Silverado with Alberta plate CTK 2994. If you know where they are, contact Cochrane RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Alberta Health Services is warning about measles exposure at the Children's Hospital in Calgary. A person with a confirmed case of the highly infectious disease was in the emergency department on July 13th between 10 a.m. and 2:15 p.m. Anyone in the area at that time is advised to watch for symptoms including fever, cough, runny nose, or rash. If symptoms develop, AHS says don't go to the hospital, your doctor or pharmacy. Instead, stay home and call the measles hotline. Measles cases continue to surge in Alberta. There are 18 new confirmed cases today, with the south and north zones continuing to be the hotspots. A report into a near miss at the Calgary airport recommends more training and oversight. In October of 2023, 2 aircraft tugs entered an active runway while a Jazz aircraft was taking off. The plane flew over the vehicles but only had 350 feet of clearance. Canada's Transportation Safety Board says a lack of recurrent training and oversight was an underlying factor. The report also found air traffic controllers had limited surveillance and visual aids at the time because of a system shutdown for an update. After the incident, NAV Canada clarified the language controllers should use when takeoffs need to be aborted. Saskatchewan is joining Alberta and Ontario's plan to build new energy and trade infrastructure. The agreement is for a feasibility study of potential new pipelines and rail routes between provinces. The trio are trying to export oil and gas to international markets beyond the United States. They want federal regulatory changes and nuclear energy development. The 3 premiers say they will now put pressure on the federal government to get it done.
This agreement will see our 3 provinces advance pipelines and pathways to boost exports of homegrown energy, potash, critical minerals and agricultural products to markets across Canada and across the world.
Premier Daniel Smith says the pressure will be heavy, joking that Premier Ford will be on the Prime Minister about this like an 800-pound gorilla. The federal Conservatives are calling on the Liberal government to pass a law to end what Pierre Poilievre is calling the longest ballot scam. More than 150 candidates will be squaring off against Pierre Poilievre in the next month's by-election in the riding of Battle River Crowfoot. Poilievre posted on X a letter to the government House leader where he says actions by the group Longest Ballot Committee are a deliberate attempt to manipulate the rules and confuse voters. The group also organized in the spring election in Poilievre's former riding of Carleton, where he lost his seat. The by-election goes August 18th. The Toronto Raptors are kicking off their preseason in Calgary. The NBA team will be holding their training camp from September 30th to October 3rd at the University of Calgary. The sessions will be closed to the public except for the final day when they'll have an open practice. The last time the Raptors were in Calgary was a preseason game against Denver in 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have more on the top stories coming up on our news at 5 and 6 and anytime online at ctvnews.ca/Calgary.